guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Riverview Wellness Podcast. My name is Sierra. I am your host and the director here at Riverview Wellness. And today we've got Heather with us.
Hello.
Hello. She is our personal trainer who focuses on menopause and all things hormones and weight loss. Do you want to quick overview what your fitness journey has been before we dive into today's topic where we'll talk about nutrition for women over 40?
Sure. So let's see. When I turned 40, I decided to start my health and wellness journey. So that was fun. But with exercise and changing my diet to a more clean, less processed foods and increasing my protein and paying attention to my protein and food labels, I was able to lose 85 pounds and about 85 inches. And so at that point, I wanted to dive more into women's hormones because I realized that as I was coaching fitness that, men and women were doing the same program, but men continued to get results when women plateaued. So that really made me want to dive into, learning more about women's menstrual cycles and how they affect our training and our nutrition. So that's a little bit about my journey. Long story short.
Yeah. So when you say you went down the rabbit hole of men versus women, what initially prompted you to take a step back and say, this is something that I want to look more into? The differences there. Because you had to have had a moment where you're like, or maybe it was taught to you or exposed to you.
Yeah. So it was honestly, I was at the time a Beachbody coach as well, because I really wanted to build a community. And it was someone in that, it was another coach who had already kind of dove down that rabbit hole per se and started, there was a post on Facebook that I saw by her about cycle syncing and talking about women's hormones and how they fluctuate throughout the month and men's stay the same. And that kind of made me take a step back and say, she's got something there. There's something to that makes sense to me and I want to know more.
Yeah.
What else is affected by our hormones and our fluctuations? So as I dove into it a little bit more, I learned that our metabolism actually changes throughout the month with our cycles. So it's actually slower in the first part of our cycle, in our follicular phase leading up to ovulation. And then our metabolism is actually faster and our body is burning more calories in our luteal phase because our temperature rises for that potential pregnancy, or some people like to say a bun in the oven. So in the oven, heat means our temperature rises and stays higher during the luteal phase. That means we can use and we can eat more calories.
Which is right before you start your period?
Correct.
Yeah, I remember you saying that the other day. And I was like, so that's why I'm so hot right now.
Yes. You might get more cravings in that phase.
Because you're burning more calories.
Right. So it is safe to actually add in up to 300 more calories a day in our luteal phase. And that's not 300 calories is not necessarily a whole meal. That's a good snack. So add in an extra snack. We want to focus on protein, obviously, because protein is what our muscles use to rebuild and get stronger, which we need as we age. If we don't want to be frail old ladies, we need to be paying attention to how much protein we're getting on a daily basis.
Well, and how much should women over 40 be shooting for in terms of protein, and what changes in this, I don't know, middle age portion of life for women as far as their nutrition goes?
So when we start, first of all, we're losing muscle mass from as early as 35. So when we turn 35, we're starting to lose muscle.
Yeah, it's like a crazy statistic, isn't it? It's like 10,
it seems
yeah,
young.
like 10% per year if you don't do anything.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, up to 10%,
It's crazy.
which it is.
And bone density too.
Yes. So bone density is also being affected as we lose estrogen. Another thing that is affected when we lose estrogen is our blood sugar. Our body starts to pump out more blood sugar, but we don't have as much estrogen to metabolize it. So we've got to watch our sugar, or we're going to become insulin resistant and potentially get type 2 diabetes.
It's a problem that a lot of people have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of women have never had to deal with earlier in life, but now all of a sudden in their 40s and 50s, they're starting to develop type 2 diabetes.
Because estrogen increases?
Estrogen is decreasing,
which helped regulate blood sugar.
Correct.
Okay.
And now as we lose estrogen, our body is starting to pump out more insulin, but we don't have that estrogen to help metabolize it.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
That will also cause more cravings for the foods that we don't want.
So you want more sugar, but you can't metabolize the sugar. That
Right.
sucks.
That does suck. And
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
why
man.
we see all of that, we start gaining that perimenopause belly, because where we carry fat also shifts in midlife. So it's going to our hips and it's going to our belly. What can we do?
Why is that?
That's a good question.
Is it just kind of seem to be what happens? There hasn't been a lot of good explanation for why.
I don't know why it shifts to our stomach. I just know that it does.
Huh. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But there are things that we can do.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned before, protein is huge. We've got to continue to eat protein to stay strong, keep our muscles strong, and bones. Also, we need to add in more fiber. So instead of focusing, I know a lot of women, if you've ever counted macros, you're looking at your calories, you're looking at your fat and your carbs and your protein, right? When we reach middle age, we want to look at protein, fiber, and fat more than our carb intake. Now, I'm not saying that we should go keto, but we should decrease our carbs because of that insulin resistance, right? So keto is going to put too much stress on your body. You're not getting the fuel that your body needs, but you also have to tweak the amount of sugar that you're intaking.
Yeah.
If you pair protein, fiber, and fat, that's going to help with the cravings. So pairing those together is going to help. So increasing your fat intake and your fiber intake, decreasing the carbs is going to be the best way to really target that tummy fat.
Yeah. Well, and maybe we should take a second to define how fat doesn't make you fat. Because I don't know, that was like such a big thing for a period of time. So yeah, I don't know if you want to share.
So yeah, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s like I did, where it was like the low fat phase, mom maybe buying 1% milk, skim milk. You're going for the diet sodas. You're going for anything that's labeled low fat. Because they kind of scared everyone into thinking fat makes you fat. There's actually, just like there's good carbs and bad carbs, there's good fats and there's bad fats. So really avoiding like the vegetable oils and canola oils, seed oils.
Yeah.
Those are considered bad fats. Good fats would be like avocado or fish oils, your omega-3s that you can get from seafood.
Even the fats you get from meat.
Yes.
If it's clean meat.
Yes.
If it was like not organic, not grass-fed, then it's probably going to be chock full of like pesticides and stuff, because all the pesticides and the toxins get stored in the fat the same way that actually that's really interesting. But if you didn't know, toxins in our environment, the things that we inhale through our cleaning products, through the products that we're putting on our face, in our makeup, in the candles we burn, when we inhale those or they get rubbed onto us, we store those toxins in our fat because our body is super smart and it wants to protect our vital, important organs from being jacked up by those toxins.
Yep.
And so I guess this is relevant for the woman over 40 who, if you have a ton of stuff in your home that is hormone disrupting, endocrine disruptors,
Yep.
like toxic things in your home, which
Most are.
most people have a ton of toxic stuff in their home. I think there was a statistic done about how the air in your home, in the average person's home, is like, I don't know the number, like 40% more toxic than the air outside. And so your body doesn't want to as easily let go of that fat if it's storing all this toxic stuff in the fat that it's trying to keep out of your organs, and you're continuing to inhale it every day in your home.
Right. That's where our bodies, because it doesn't know how to process the toxins, and so we just hold on to it in our body fat.
Yeah. And same thing with animals. That was kind of the point that I was making. That's why we need to get
Yes.
clean meats that are grass-fed, not sprayed down with a bunch of pesticides on their food, and then they eat it, and then we're eating them.
And if you're not sure, if you're like, how do I know if my products have toxins? Not to call anybody out, but y'all, we grew up on Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body Works lotions came out when I was in middle school. You are rubbing those toxins and lotions all over your body
anything with
single day. It's soaking into your skin.
fragrance
Yep, anything with fragrance.
is loaded.
Unless it's like essential oils, which still, even if you're using essential oil fragrance, you have to be careful because
Gotta
some
make
of
sure they're
those aren't pure.
Yeah.
Exactly. So your candles from Bath and Body or White Barn, all of those candles, they smell so good.
Well, you can get, essential oil-based ones. I just, there's a company called Sloth something. Can't remember off the top of my head. They're based out of Texas. They're a small company. But they have, like, essential oil-based candles, and I ordered one, and it smells so good. And it's, like, clean stuff that I'm burning in my home, and I'm not inhaling all this crap.
Yeah. So we definitely need to clean up our home and beauty products as well, because it's not just the foods that we eat. It is, everything in our environment too, unfortunately. So start small. Just make little changes when you run out of your, favorite cleaning products or your favorite makeup or something. Try to look for something a little bit cleaner. And that should start making a difference.
Yeah.
For sure.
I guess, what are, like, the bottom line takeaways, a few things that ladies over 40 who maybe are in the midst of perimenopause symptoms, maybe they've got the belly fat that suddenly started creeping on, what are some things that they can do practically in this season of life?
So are we talking specifically in nutrition as far as like food wise, or?
Yeah, I don't know. What the top 3 first changes to make? Maybe not just nutrition wise.
Okay. So we haven't talked about this, but I'm definitely going to say that one of the best things you can do is stress management. Because our stress levels are higher than ever before during this phase of life. And we've got to do better at managing our stress, or any workout that you try to do to better yourself and your health is going to be counterproductive if you're already too stressed out.
That's fair.
So number 1, manage your stress. Number 2, I would say focus on protein at every single meal. 30 grams minimum.
Which I'd say most people are probably not getting.
No.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Track your calories. If you
write it down. If you've never tracked, you hate tracking. Just look at the label. Look at the food label and see how many grams of protein are in what you're eating. You want to aim for 30 to 40 grams per meal, especially for women in midlife.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would say is to lift weights, because lifting weights helps manage your blood sugar. It helps build your muscles and keep your muscles strong, and your bones
Your brain too.
and your brain. Like
A little bit of
muscle
everything.
helps with everything.
Yeah.
And we want to keep it on our bodies as long as we possibly can. It helps manage blood sugar, helps manage your mood, all of the things.
It is
So
the
those are-
organ of longevity.
It is. It is. So those would be my top 3 things to do.
All right. Right on. Well, thank you for answering all those questions. I'm sure that it'll be super helpful for women over 40 who
I
are
hope
going
so.
through this season of life. If this episode was helpful for you, please follow us, like, subscribe. You can find us on pretty much all social media platforms at just Riverview Wellness. If you have more questions for Heather specifically, you can find her at
WanderCoachVA.com is my website, or WanderCoach757 on Instagram.
And you can find me at SierraMeacham.livefit on Instagram. Again, thank you for tuning in. This is the Riverview Wellness Podcast, empowering you to live and move well.